The Mexico that everyone imagines is the one with the sunny beaches of Cancun, the ruins of Chichen Itza, and the luxurious resorts. But there is much more hidden beneath the surface. While most tourists focus on photos and souvenirs of familiar scenes, few have the opportunity to immerse themselves in the real Mexico, a country where every corner holds a story. The narrow streets of forgotten villages echo ancient traditions that few dare to explore. And it is exactly this lack of curiosity that separates the common tourist from the true explorer. Think of the vastness of the jungles that cover ruins never mentioned in tourist guides. Mexican soil, in addition to being one of the richest in culture, is a repository of secrets that only those with keen eyes can perceive. Imagine a hidden temple, surrounded by vegetation, waiting centuries to be rediscovered. These places do not appear on the covers of travel magazines, but they contain the essence of a deep, pulsating and still unexplored Mexico. It's curious how, in a country so rich in stories, there is still so much to be discovered, right? Now, if you walk through any colonial city, you might think you've seen everything: the churches, the squares, the old buildings. But what you don't know is that these streets walked by millions of people hold forgotten legends, passed down from generation to generation. Every stone has a tale, every corner hides a tradition. And all of this is right there, in plain sight, but so far away from those who are only looking for the superficial tourist experience. Curiosity about countries goes beyond what we see in travel brochures, and Mexico is a master at showing us this. While most are content with the obvious attractions, the real Mexico remains veiled, waiting to be discovered by those willing to lose themselves in its depths. Which takes us to the unknown ruins and jungles that hide lost treasures. These are the relics that few know about, but that hold the most intriguing secrets in the country's history. Deep in the Mexican jungles, there are entire cities that have remained beyond the reach of modern eyes. Uxmal, for example, despite its grandeur, does not receive the same flow of tourists as Chichen Itza. However, its stones hold secrets as old as those of great empires. The architecture contained there tells a story of a people that developed, flourished, and mysteriously disappeared. And these ruins, covered by vegetation, show us that true wealth is far from conventional tourism routes. When we talk about Palenque, perhaps few imagine what is hidden beyond the travel guides. Behind the trees and the silence, there are secrets that archaeologists themselves are still trying to uncover. How could such an advanced city be lost in time? It's curious to think that the Mayans left clues, fragments of a life that pulsed there, and that today is at the mercy of the jungle. Exploring these places is not just about seeing ruins, but touching a part of history that remains alive in the stones, waiting to be understood. As you walk among these ruins, you feel something different in the air. It's not just history, it's a mystery. Jungles seem to protect these treasures, like silent guardians. And the most interesting thing is that many of these locations are not widely publicized. They are there, waiting for those who have enough courage and curiosity to venture out. Places like Calakmul, so far from the tourist spotlight, offer an intimate experience with the past. These forgotten treasures, far from mass tourism, are what make Mexico a country of fascinating secrets. And then, while the big crowds gather at the most famous ruins, there are lost treasures that await you. You just need to be willing to look beyond what everyone else sees. These treasures are not only hidden beneath the earth, but also deep beneath the waters. And that brings us to the next enigma: cenotes, portals to the Mayan underworld, whose dark waters hold even deeper secrets. In the heart of the Yucatan Peninsula, cenotes open like mysterious portals to the underground world. These crystal-clear water wells have always been sacred to the Mayans, who believed that cenotes were the gateway to Xibalba, the kingdom of the dead. But beyond the mysticism, these waters hold hidden stories of sacrifices and ceremonies that few dare to explore. Diving in a cenote is like traveling back in time, a deep dive into a past full of ancient rituals and beliefs that still resonate in the calm waters. Each cenote has its own story, its own secret. Some were places of offerings and human sacrifices. The bones and sacred objects found at the bottom of these submerged caves are silent witnesses to rituals that were part of the spiritual life of the Mayans. When swimming in one of these wells, it's not just about enjoying a paradisiacal landscape, but about feeling the presence of something much bigger. The dark waters, as beautiful as they are, hold secrets that have never been fully revealed to modern eyes. These magical places, many of them still unknown to tourists, remain untouched, shrouded in silence and mystery. Few dare to explore cenotes that are not on the tourist radar, but for those driven by curiosity about countries and their secrets, these wells hold an irresistible fascination. They are passages to hidden worlds where time seems to stop and voices from the past still echo. On each dive, you can almost hear the chants of the ancient ceremonies that took place there. And so, deep within these mysterious waters, secrets remain hidden, waiting for those who dare to go beyond the ordinary. But Mexico doesn't just hold mysteries in its waters. Its sacred mountains also hide stories of faith, legends, and apparitions that, like the cenotes, only reveal themselves to the most curious. The mountains are the next keepers of secrets to be explored. Mexican mountains have always been seen as portals between the world of men and the spiritual world. Among indigenous communities, these rocky elevations are sacred, places of reverence and rituals that few know about. Mount Tlaloc, for example, was considered a place where the gods could be invoked through ceremonies held on its heights. Today, these practices are seen as distant legends, but there are still those who, in secret, keep these traditions alive, away from the prying eyes of tourists. In every curve of these mountains, there is a story. Many of these stories tell of mysterious apparitions that have never been explained. They say that, on certain nights, in the heights of the Sierra Madre, it is possible to see lights that rise to the sky, as if they were spiritual guides, illuminating the path to the afterlife. Local inhabitants have their versions to explain these phenomena, and theories range from divine visitations to encounters with lost civilizations. The truth, as always, seems to be hidden among the whispers of the mountains. But it's not just ancient legends that surround these mountains. Mysterious caves, many of them still unexplored, are spread throughout Mexico. Some say they hold incalculable treasures, others say they served as places of refuge for ancient warriors. But what is undeniable is the mystery that these caves evoke. Entering one of them is like walking through the past, where each step can reveal long-forgotten secrets buried deep within the earth. Mountains not only hold stories, but also living secrets. Entire communities still revere these sites as sacred, continuing rituals that date back to time immemorial. And, just as mountains keep their stories high, there are other peoples, like the Otomi, who, in their traditions, carry hidden mysteries in words and rituals. And it is these mysteries that await us in the next chapter of the journey into the unknown. The Otomi people, with their deep roots in central Mexico, carry a tradition shrouded in mysteries that stand the test of time. Their rituals, kept secret, are passed down from generation to generation, away from the prying eyes of tourists. Although many have heard of the Mayans or Aztecs, few know that the Otomi have a history rich in spirituality and culture. Their practices, often misunderstood, are a living testament to a deep connection with the universe and the natural elements that surround them. To understand Mexico in its entirety, it is essential to understand the legacy of these people. What makes the Otomi even more fascinating is their language. More than a means of communication, It is a code loaded with meaning. Every word spoken between them has a weight, a symbolism, which reveals much more than meets the eye. This linguistic code, preserved through the centuries, hides teachings that defy modern logic. The Atami language is not just a tool of expression, but a link to the spiritual, to the past, and to the mysteries of the cosmos. Imagine speaking a language that not only conveys information, but also carries the soul of a people in every sound. In addition to their unique language, the Atami perform secret rituals that few outside their community have ever witnessed. These rituals are moments of deep communion with the spiritual world, where it is believed that invisible forces are invoked and manifest. In the mountains where they live, far from big cities and tourism, these rituals are performed in silence, with great reverence. Some say that watching one of these rituals is like entering a portal to an ancient time, where the sacred and the profane are in perfect harmony. And so, while the Atami keep their secrets and traditions away from the outside eye, there are also archaeological zones throughout Mexico that remain shrouded in mystery. Places like Ekbalam and Calakmul, as old as the best-known sites, still hold secrets waiting to be uncovered. These places will be the next to invite us on a journey through time. While Chichen Itza shines as one of Mexico's most famous attractions, other archaeological zones, just as impressive, remain shrouded in an eerie silence. Ekbalam, for example, hides its majestic buildings under the watchful eye of the jungle, almost as if it wanted to keep its secrets from less curious tourists. Its less frequented pyramids are a window into the past, where life flourished in harmony with the surrounding environment. As you walk through its ruins, it's impossible not to wonder, what else is buried beneath these lands, waiting to be revealed? Calakmul, in turn, emerges as a treasure lost in time. Hidden deep in the Mayan jungle, this archaeological site was one of the greatest cities of the Mayan civilization, but today it remains virtually unknown to the general public. Its temples, some not yet excavated, seem to whisper stories of an empire that rivaled that of Tikal. It's curious how these ruins, far from the crowds, allow an intimate connection with the past, almost as if each stone were telling a secret kept for centuries. The experience of being there is much more than a visit. It is a return to a time where gods and kings walked together. Archaeologists working in these zones often come across relics that challenge current knowledge. Recent excavations at places like Yaxchilan and Bonampak have revealed complex details about the lives and rituals of these civilizations. And yet, many questions remain unanswered. What else don't the stones tell us? What are the secrets that have not yet been unearthed? The feeling that there is always something more to be discovered makes each archaeological site a living piece of history, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. But these secrets are not just confined to stones and temples. The living traditions of indigenous communities also hold stories that go unnoticed. Festivals and rituals that take place out of the spotlight keep the spirit of these ancient civilizations alive today. And now, let's explore these secret traditions, preserved with great care by Mexican indigenous communities. In indigenous communities spread across Mexico, there are traditions that remain hidden from the eyes of the outside world. Ancestral festivals and rituals, preserved with great reverence, are practiced far from tourists and curious onlookers. These events are not just celebrations, but acts of deep connection with the spiritual world, nature, and ancestors. Every detail, from the music to the clothing, carries a hidden meaning known only to the initiated. Religious syncretism, so present in Mexico, gave rise to unique practices, where Christianity and indigenous beliefs are intertwined in rituals of great symbolic power. Imagine being present at one of these festivals, where every beat of the drum resonates like the echo of generations past. The dances, often performed in honor of ancient gods, have a clear purpose: to maintain balance between the earthly and spiritual worlds. To outside observers, it may seem like just a cultural display, but to participants, it is a time of spiritual renewal. And the most curious thing is that these rituals take place in places where the presence of modernity is almost non-existent, keeping alive a Mexico that many are unaware of. Among these traditions, one of the most fascinating is the practice of Temazcal, an ancient purification ritual. This ceremony involves a traditional sauna where the body and soul are purified by steam and herbs. Participating in a Temazcal is not just a physical act, but a spiritual journey. Every breath taken inside the sauna is a connection with the earth, the elements, and the ancestors. These rituals are still performed in many regions of Mexico, but are far from the reach of the majority, being reserved for those seeking a deeper connection with indigenous tradition. And so, while these communities keep their traditions alive, there is a hidden underworld beneath Mexico's colonial streets and churches. Tunnels and catacombs, some forgotten, others used for purposes we still don't fully understand, await us on the next stage of this journey into the unknown. These tunnels, like traditions, hide secrets that stand the test of time. Beneath the vibrant cities and busy streets of colonial Mexico lies an underground world of catacombs and tunnels that few know about. This underworld is full of mysteries, untold stories, and secret passages that stretch for miles. In Guanajuato, for example, the catacombs are not only a resting place for the dead, but also the setting for dark and inexplicable stories. The darkness that inhabits these passages seems to have a life of its own, as if it echoes the voices of those buried there, generating a mix of curiosity and fear for those who dare to explore them. Underneath ancient churches and monasteries, tunnels have served a variety of purposes over the centuries. Some were used as escape routes for persecuted priests during the War of Independence, while others housed the secrets of religious orders that needed to hide from the Spanish Inquisition. As you walk through these tunnels, it's impossible not to wonder what else has been hidden there over the years. The walls, damp and cold, bear the marks of time and the lives that passed through them, leaving traces of an underground Mexico that few dare to know. Conspiracy theories also revolve around these tunnels. There are those who believe that some of them were used for even darker purposes. What could have been transported through these hidden passages? Sacred artifacts? People on the run? The lack of documents about many of these tunnels only adds to the mystery. And the most intriguing thing is that in many colonial cities, new passages continue to be discovered, revealing that the Mexican subsoil holds secrets that defy current historical knowledge. But while this subterranean world remains partially hidden, there are other places above the earth that hold equally disturbing mysteries. One of them is Doll Island, a place so strange and scary that it gives even the bravest goosebumps. And that's where we're headed on our next exploration of Mexico's secrets. Hidden among the canals of Xochimilco, on the outskirts of Mexico City, is the enigmatic island of dolls. At first glance, it seems like a harmless place, but a closer look is enough to see what makes it so scary. Hundreds of dolls, hanging from trees, mutilated by time, with empty looks and broken limbs, give the place a disturbing atmosphere. Legend has it that the island's former resident, Julian Santana, began hanging the dolls after finding the body of a young girl drowned in the nearby waters. Since then, he believed that the dolls would help calm the girl's restless spirit. Visitors who venture to the island report goosebumps, as if they were being watched the entire time. The dolls, many without eyes or with parts of their bodies missing, seem to watch every step someone takes. With each breath of wind, their bodies sway gently, emitting almost human sounds, as if they want to whisper secrets that no one should approach. The heavy air of the island seems to carry not only the story of the drowned young woman, but also the despair of Santana, who spent her last days caring for this macabre place. Although it is a curious destination for those seeking unusual experiences, few have the courage to visit Doll Island at night. They say that when darkness falls, the dolls come to life, and their gazes seem to follow the visitors. For residents of the region, the place carries an aura of respect and fear. The island has become famous, but few dare to enter its waters without feeling a chill down their spine. Country curiosity, yes, but this is a curiosity that brings with it more questions than answers. Those who dare to visit the island usually leave with the certainty that something inexplicable lives there. But while the hanging dolls scare and confuse, there are other equally unsettling mysteries that hang over colonial Mexico. Hauntings, legends, and ghosts still roam the old mansions and churches. These ghosts from the past are about to be revealed. Colonial Mexico, with its cobblestone streets and imposing mansions, is a true stage for haunting stories. Many of these buildings, which are centuries old, carry legends that persist to this day. Buildings that were once palaces, convents, or prisons house more than just the weight of history. They hold the memories of restless souls who never left. Walking through these streets, especially at night, is like feeling the invisible presence of figures who, in one way or another, have left their marks there. For the locals, these stories are part of folklore, but for those who live them, the feeling is very real. One of the most haunted places in Mexico is the Palacio de la Inquisición in Mexico City. For centuries, this building was the scene of merciless torture and executions. They say the victims' screams still echo off the walls of the building, and many swear they saw shadows moving through the hallways at night. These apparitions, described by several people over the years, continue to fuel the mystery surrounding the palace. Although the site is now a museum, the souls that perished there appear to have never left the place. It's not just palaces that house ghosts. In many cities, old mansions, now transformed into hotels, hold stories of guests who never left. Legends such as that of the Woman in White, a figure that wanders the corridors of colonial mansions, are known for frightening unsuspecting visitors. Those who dare to spend the night in some of these hotels report inexplicable visions and sensations. The dark legacy of Spanish colonization left invisible traces, but felt by many who cross these paths. As we explore the ghosts of colonial Mexico, we come across the secret practices of the Mexica, who, with their ancient rituals and human sacrifices, hold secrets that to this day defy understanding. Now, it's time to delve into this enigma and uncover what the official story doesn't tell us. The Mexica, popularly known as Aztecs, are one of the most fascinating and mysterious people in the history of Mexico. Its culture, although widely studied, still holds secrets that official history does not reveal. Among the most intriguing are the rituals of human sacrifice, which were performed for a greater purpose than just honoring the gods. For the Mexica, sacrifice was a means of guaranteeing the balance of the universe. But what many don't know is that these rituals were also full of occult symbolism, where every detail, from the location to the choice of victims, had a deep meaning. The Mexica believed that human blood was the vital essence that kept the sun moving. But what is not discussed as often is the selection of victims for these rituals. Many think that any prisoner of war could be sacrificed, but in fact, only the noblest and bravest were chosen for this honorable fate. For the Mexica, giving one's life to the gods was the greatest act of devotion, and warriors captured in battle were seen as those most worthy of this sacrifice. This logic seems distorted to modern eyes, but in their context, it made perfect sense. In addition to sacrifices, the Mexica left an enigmatic legacy in their codices, manuscripts that contain stories, myths, and historical records. Many of these codices were destroyed during Spanish colonization, but the few that remain reveal information that still intrigues scholars today. Some experts believe there are coded messages in these documents, clues to hidden knowledge that was deliberately hidden. What else could be hidden in the symbols and images that the Mexica left behind? There are those who say that if we could completely decipher these codices, we would rewrite history. And while Mexica codices continue to be studied, another secret practice flourishes in hidden markets across Mexico. Witchcraft and sorcery, although not widely publicized, are still part of everyday life in many regions. The next step on this journey takes us to witchcraft fairs, where ancient mystical secrets meet modern practices. In several regions of Mexico, witchcraft fairs take place discreetly, offering a glimpse of occult practices that date back to ancient times. Markets like Sonora, in Mexico City, are true epicenters of mysticism, where you can find everything from protective amulets to potions and herbs intended for spiritual cures. However, behind the stalls, what really impresses are the stories and traditions that accompany these objects. For those who participate in these fairs, witchcraft is not just any practice. It is a way of understanding and shaping the world around you, influencing destiny and spirits. Among the most sought-after items are limpias, spiritual cleansing rituals performed by healers who inherited this knowledge from their ancestors. Using herbs, eggs, and prayers, they believe they are able to purify the soul and ward off negative energies. It is not uncommon to see queues of people waiting for one of these spiritual cleansings, seeking cures for problems that modern medicine cannot solve. And, interestingly, many tourists, when they come across these practices, are intrigued, but few understand the deep meaning they carry. Here, curiosity about countries turns into a dive into esoteric traditions we rarely see. In addition to healers, witchcraft fairs are also home to brujos and brujas, sorcerers who specialize in sorcery for both good and evil. While some offer solutions to love or financial problems, others, darker, practice rituals for revenge and energy manipulation. The power of these fairs goes beyond what the eye can see. It is a complex network of spiritual beliefs and practices that maintain their roots in pre-Columbian times, but which have adapted to the modern world. What is fascinating is that these practices, although hidden, are still as relevant as they were centuries ago. However, the mystery of Mexico is not limited to urban mysticism. In the vastness of its deserts lies the enigmatic Zona del Silencio, a place where the laws of nature do not seem to apply, and inexplicable phenomena defy human logic. That's where our next journey takes us, in search of answers to mysteries that transcend the visible world. Hidden in the heart of the Mexican desert, the Zona del Silencio is one of the most mysterious places in the country, compared to the famous Bermuda Triangle. In this enigmatic place, inexplicable phenomena occur with disturbing frequency. Reports of compasses spinning out of control, radio signals that mysteriously disappear, and sightings of strange lights in the sky are just some of the events that intrigue scientists and the curious alike. As you walk through this silent desert, the feeling of isolation is not only physical, but also spiritual. Something invisible but palpable seems to fill the air. Some believe that the Zona del Silencio is a geological anomaly, while others argue that the site is aligned with cosmic forces that defy the laws of physics. The peculiar magnetism of this area is so strong that even meteorites have fallen in the region, and fragments of these celestial bodies can still be found by those who venture there. What makes this place even more fascinating is the total absence of clear explanations for the events that occur there. Science tries to understand, but many questions remain unanswered, fueling conspiracy theories and attracting those who seek the unknown. Local residents tell stories of strange encounters with human-looking beings, but with unusual characteristics that supposedly appear from time to time. These reports reinforce the idea that the Zona del Silencio is not just a natural phenomenon, but a portal to something beyond what we know. Some claim that they have seen spaceships, while others believe that these beings could be travelers from another dimension. Regardless of the explanation, the country's curiosity that this region awakens continues to attract adventurers and scholars from all over the world, all trying to uncover its secrets. And so, as we leave behind the mystery of the Zona del Silencio, we come across another facet of Mexico that many are unaware of: the ancient monuments that are disappearing. Monuments that, over time, are being swallowed by nature, taking with them stories that may never be told. What happens when the past is lost in the present? This brings us to the next mystery to be solved. Scattered across the Mexican landscapes are ancient monuments that are slowly disappearing, being consumed by vegetation or oblivion. These places, once important centers of past civilizations, now struggle against time, standing amidst natural deterioration. Pre-Hispanic and colonial structures, which hold secrets about ancient life, are crumbling little by little, taking with them stories that may never be revealed. Many of these monuments are off the tourist trail and remain almost invisible to the public, becoming reliquaries of a Mexico that existed long before any modern record. A striking example is the ancient city of Mitla, whose buildings are slowly being swallowed by time. Known for its complex geometric patterns carved into the rocks, this Zapotec city doesn't get the same attention as places like Teotihuacan or Monte Alban. However, it holds secrets about the underworld and the conception of the afterlife of these ancient cultures. The ruins of Mitla, although faded by time, continue to whisper stories that few get to hear. It is curious how these buildings, which were once temples and palaces, now seem to become part of the natural landscape. Another monument at risk is the submerged church of Quichula, which occasionally resurfaces from the waters of the Grijalva River when water levels drop. Built in the 16th century, this church is a silent reminder of Mexico's colonial past. Its sudden appearance, after decades of being submerged, evokes a sense of mysticism, as if the past is emerging to tell us something we have forgotten. But just as it appeared, the church is soon covered by water again, taking with it the memories of a bygone era. These forgotten monuments are more than just ruins. They are testimonies of ages that have passed, but that can still teach us a lot. But while nature slowly erases these traces of the past, there are riches that are still hidden beneath Mexican soil. Buried treasures, which have been searched for centuries and never found, await to be discovered. And it is these riches and their hunters that we will dive into next. Under the Mexican soil, hidden in caves, mountains, and rivers, are incalculable riches that were buried and never found. From the times of ancient civilizations to the colonial period, Mexico has been a treasure to be discovered, with stories of gold, silver, and jewels hidden by native peoples and Spanish conquerors. These riches, often mentioned in legends and historical accounts, fuel the dreams of adventurers and treasure hunters who, generation after generation, continue to search for these lost treasures. Mexico, in addition to being a land rich in culture, keeps these hidden riches like an empire of untold mysteries. Among the most famous of these stories is the legend of Moctezuma's treasure. It is said that during Hernán Cortés' conquest of Mexico, the Mexica Emperor Moctezuma II hid vast riches so that the Spanish could not get them into their hands. Gold, jewels, and sacred artifacts would have been buried or thrown into rivers to be lost forever. To this day, treasure hunters believe that part of this treasure is somewhere in Mexican territory, waiting to be rediscovered. And for many, the search is not just for physical gold, but for what it represents, the power and glory of an empire that refused to submit. More recently, stories of hidden riches during the Mexican Revolution have also become part of the popular imagination. Many revolutionary leaders, like Pancho Villa, are said to have hidden fortunes in gold and silver in caves and mountains while fleeing their enemies. These treasures, never found, attract not only amateur hunters, but also researchers and archaeologists who, over the years, try to uncover the whereabouts of these riches. Curiosity about these treasures remains alive and arouses the interest of all those fascinated by the unknown. But while many dream of finding these buried riches, there are people who keep cultural treasures alive, preserving customs and traditions that the outside world rarely sees. Peripheral communities, who live isolated in the mountains and deserts, guard not only material wealth, but also intangible heritage of incalculable value. These forgotten cultures are the next point on our journey, where real value goes beyond gold and silver. In the mountains and deserts of Mexico, there are communities that remain largely invisible to the modern world. These people, known as peripheral cultures, live isolated from the hustle and bustle of big cities, preserving traditions that date back hundreds, if not thousands, of years. Although few know about the existence of these communities, their cultures are of inestimable value. These people carry with them ancestral knowledge, transmitted orally and kept alive through rituals, crafts, and customs that resist modernity. To understand Mexico in its essence, it is necessary to look at these forgotten peoples. Among these communities, the Raramuris, or Tarahumaras, stand out. Living in the mountains of the Sierra Madre Occidental, they are known for their incredible physical endurance. Amid arid and difficult landscapes, the Raramuris maintain the custom of running long distances, often barefoot, as part of their daily life. But what few know is that running is much more than a physical activity for them. It is a spiritual practice, a way of connecting with nature and the gods. It is in this isolation that they preserve their freedom and tradition, away from outside eyes. Another example is the Huicholes, who live in the mountains of western Mexico. His colorful art, full of sacred symbols, reflects the depth of his worldview. They believe their duty is to maintain balance between the spiritual and material worlds, and many of their rituals involve pilgrimages to sacred mountain sites. These traditions are passed down from generation to generation, and isolation helps protect this culture from outside influences that could destroy it. It's fascinating how these communities stand firm, while the world around them moves forward at a rapid pace. These peripheral cultures not only hold a cultural treasure, but also represent the resistance of the past in the midst of the present. As modern Mexico urbanizes, these people remain guardians of traditions that time has failed to erase. But what about the secrets hidden in Mexican art? Murals and paintings that, although exposed to the public, carry hidden messages and codes that few decipher. This will be our next dive into the mysteries of Mexico. Mexican art is recognized worldwide for its vibrant beauty and deep cultural significance. However, behind the colors and shapes, many murals and paintings hide secrets that few eyes can perceive. Diego Rivera's large murals, for example, although widely known, contain layers of symbolism that go beyond the Mexican history depicted. Each figure, each detail, carries a hidden code that reveals the political and social tensions of the time. These murals are more than works of art. They are visual narratives that hide messages for those who know how to read between the lines. Colonial temples and churches also hide secret codes in their religious paintings. In many of them, indigenous artists, forced to follow European standards of sacred art, discreetly inserted symbols of their own cultures and beliefs. These symbols, almost imperceptible to the inattentive eye, are a form of cultural resistance, a way of keeping indigenous heritage alive while apparently following the orders of the colonizers. In some churches, hidden figures, specific colors, and geometric patterns show us that the indigenous and Catholic faiths coexisted, even if in a veiled way. But hidden codes are not limited to churches. In public murals, contemporary artists continue to use art as a means of expression and protest. Political, social, and spiritual messages are hidden in street murals that, at first glance, may appear to be simple works of graffiti. These murals, spread throughout Mexico's cities, are like silent screams, telling stories of oppression, struggle, and resistance. For those who have the sensitivity to look beyond the surface, art reveals itself as a portal to understand the secrets of the Mexican soul. These hidden codes in art are like an invitation to the curious, challenging them to see what lies beyond the obvious. And just as art reveals hidden secrets, death traditions in Mexico also go far beyond the famous Day of the Dead. Ancient rituals and secret ceremonies link the living to the dead in ways few know about. And this brings us to the next mystery to be solved. The Day of the Dead is, without a doubt, one of the most well-known and colorful celebrations in Mexico. But beyond the sugar skulls and vibrant altars, there are even more ancient and secret death rituals preserved by indigenous communities. These rituals, shrouded in mystery, reveal a deep relationship between the living and the dead. For many of these people, death is not the end, but a continuation of the spiritual journey. Ancestral farewell ceremonies, held in caves or sacred mountains, were moments of intense connection with the afterlife. In these rituals, the presence of spirits was felt and revered, and time seemed to stop. The Zapotec people, for example, believed that the dead returned to visit their relatives on specific dates. However, this visit was not celebrated with public parties, like the modern Day of the Dead, but with private rituals where only family members were present. The offerings not only included food and drink, but also personal effects and artifacts that would accompany the dead on their journey through the underworld. These rituals, still preserved in some communities, continue to be carried out with a deep respect for the cycle of life and death, away from the tourist gaze. Among the Mayans, the concept of death was also strongly linked to renewal. For them, death was a necessary passage for life to continue. In the cenotes, as explored previously, many human sacrifice rituals were linked to the belief that the blood of the living was essential to maintaining the balance between the earthly world and the gods of the underworld. These death rituals, although disturbing by modern standards, were part of a larger cosmic cycle. Death was not viewed with fear, but with reverence. Today, some of these practices are echoed in more symbolic ceremonies, but respect for the role of death in life remains intact. These rituals show us that, in Mexico, death is part of life. But while some traditions survive, other entire cities have been abandoned, leaving behind stories that seem frozen in time. And it is in ghost towns, abandoned over the centuries, that we will find more hidden secrets. Scattered throughout Mexico, there are cities and villages that were abandoned a long time ago, turning into true ghost towns. These locations, once full of life and activity, now remain deserted, with silent streets and ruined buildings as if time has stopped. Some were abandoned due to excessive exploitation of natural resources, while others were victims of political or economic conflicts. Walking through these cities is like taking a trip to the past, where each decaying building carries a story of interrupted lives, broken dreams, and secrets that may never be revealed. Real de Catorce, one of the most famous ghost towns, was a prosperous silver mining center in the 19th century. Today, its stone streets and ruined churches attract tourists in search of adventure and mystery. However, what few know is that Real de Catorce is also surrounded by legends of apparitions and paranormal activities. Residents and visitors report sightings of ghostly figures walking through the old mines or wandering the deserted streets. These stories add a layer of mystery to a city already shrouded in silence and darkness, where the presence of the past is almost palpable. Another ghost town is Mineral de Pozos, once a thriving mining center, now a scene of empty streets and abandoned houses. The few people who still live there tell stories of strange sounds coming from the mines at night. The ruins of old mineral processing factories seem to stand guard over the desolate landscape, reminiscent of the days when the place was buzzing with activity. Exploring these cities is like entering a time capsule where the present and the past coexist in an unsettling way, creating a scenario that fascinates and scares at the same time. These ghost towns are not only relics of the past, but also a reflection of the economic and social changes that have shaped Mexico over the centuries. While some cities fall into oblivion, others hold even more hidden secrets, like the stories of Freemasonry in Mexico, where secret rituals and symbols still permeate society, hidden in plain sight. Freemasonry, shrouded in mystery and symbolism, has a long history in Mexico, often intertwined with crucial political and social events in the country. Although Freemasonry is a global organization, in Mexico it assumed particular importance during the struggles for independence and revolutions that shaped the nation. Many of the national heroes, including Benito Juárez and Miguel Hidalgo, were Freemasons and used the principles of fraternity, liberty, and equality to guide their actions. However, what few know is that Mexican Freemasonry also keeps secrets that are not revealed to the public, involving ancient rituals, mysterious symbols, and a network of influence that extends to the present day. In several Mexican cities, there are Masonic temples that are invisible to most citizens. These temples, with discreet architecture on the outside, host meetings where secret symbols and rituals are practiced. Every symbol, every gesture, has a deep meaning that only the initiated understand. Within these temples, Freemasons discuss not only spiritual issues, but also political and social strategies. Freemasonry, often seen as a discreet society, has played a key role in the decisions that have shaped modern Mexico, although this influence remains hidden from the masses. Masonic rituals in Mexico follow traditions that date back centuries. In ceremonies shrouded in secrecy, Freemasons use symbols such as the all-seeing eye, the square, and the compass to represent the balance between the spiritual and the material. These rituals are considered by many to be ways of maintaining balance in the outside world. From the outside looking in, it may seem like just a mysterious ceremony, but for those who participate, it is a means of accessing knowledge that has been passed down from generation to generation, protecting secrets about the order of the universe and humanity's role within it. These secrets, however, are not confined to temples. Masonic influence spreads silently throughout Mexican society, in business, politics, and even religious traditions. And so, while many are unaware of the details of these rituals, Mexico's hidden churches also house secrets that have been lost to time, relics that wait to be rediscovered. And it is to these hidden churches that we now turn. Amid the ancient streets and narrow alleys of Mexican colonial cities, there are churches that, although apparently modest on the outside, hold priceless secrets and relics. These chapels and churches, often far from tourist routes, are temples of a silent faith, where sacred relics and religious artifacts, forgotten by time, remain preserved. Each of these churches is like a chest of spiritual mysteries, where each altar, each image, carries stories of miracles, devotion, and also the occult. For those who venture beyond the most famous cathedrals, Mexico reveals a hidden faith, alive in its most secret chapels. Many of these churches were built during the colonial period and house images and statues that, according to popular belief, have miraculous powers. In some communities, the tradition of visiting these shrines to ask for protection or give thanks for blessings received is passed down from generation to generation. However, what few know is that some of these images are surrounded by legends that mix the divine and the supernatural. Stories of statues that weep, saints that disappear, and reappear in unexpected places, or relics that glow without scientific explanation continue to attract the curious and devoted to these places. An intriguing example is the Chapel of San Juan Bautista, located inside a small Mexican village. There, an ancient wooden cross, dating back to the 17th century, is venerated by local residents who believe the cross has the power to cure illnesses. What makes this church special is not just the power attributed to the cross, but the stories of miraculous healings that, according to the faithful, occurred without any logical explanation. This church, like many others, remains hidden from mass tourism, but is a strong point of spiritual devotion for those who know its history. And so, among the relics and secrets of these hidden churches, we say goodbye to the mysteries that remain hidden in the architecture of Mexico. But, before concluding our journey, it is important to remember that Mexico, with all its secrets revealed, is a country that still holds many mysteries beyond what the eye can capture. And this is exactly what brings us to the conclusion of our discovery, where the invisible shapes the identity of a nation that is more than it appears to be. After exploring Mexico's deepest and most hidden secrets, we realize that the country goes far beyond the tourist landscapes we see on postcards. The Mexico we never see is a place full of untold stories, ancient traditions that remain alive, and mysteries that defy modern logic. Each ruin, each ritual, each forgotten monument reveals a facet of this complex nation, where the past and present intertwine in surprising ways. Mexico is a country of contrasts, where the modern coexists with the ancient, where the spiritual and the material meet at every corner. For anyone looking to truly understand Mexico, you need to be curious, not just about its beaches and big cities, but about the places that remain off the radar, preserved by silence and time. These secrets we explore, from the depths of cenotes to the heights of sacred mountains, are just a sample of what lies behind the veil of appearances that covers the country. And, even after so many discoveries, there is still much more to be discovered. Mexico shows us that there is always something beyond what meets the eye. However, these secrets are not just part of the past. They continue to shape the identity of contemporary Mexico, influencing its cultures, beliefs, and even its artistic traditions. To understand Mexico, it is necessary to look beyond the obvious, see the invisible, and allow these ancient mysteries to reveal the depth of the Mexican soul. And, although we may have uncovered many secrets, the feeling that remains is that Mexico still holds much more, ready to be discovered by those who have the courage to explore the unknown. Now, it's up to you to continue this journey. Mexico is waiting, with all its mysteries and stories, to be discovered. Each secret we reveal is just a door to another layer of even deeper secrets. And so, our journey through these mysteries may have come to an end for now, but the curiosity they arouse is far from satisfied.
Hey explorers, if you love discovering the amazing curiosities and stories we share here on Exploring Nations, how about supporting the channel with just $1? This small gesture can make a big difference and is essential to keep this content going. Without your support, our journey might be cut short. And there's more. When you shop on Amazon, use our special link. It costs you nothing extra, plus you get an exclusive discount and it helps us out a lot. The links for donations and Amazon are pinned in the first comment. Don't let this adventure stop, we're counting on you. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like, and drop us a comment.